my favorite games is Descent: Journeys in the Dark 2nd Edition. Now, I like the 1st edition of Descent very much, but the 2nd edition really brought it home for me. And what's great about the 2nd edition is all the monsters that are in it. See, I almost always play the Overlord when I'm playing Descent. I like to be the bad guy. So in this video, we're going to talk about my 10 favorite monsters that are out right now. Now, I don't have any of the new hero and monster sets, so the monster models that I'm using, if they come from Descent 1st edition, you're going to see different models than the ones you can buy now. Although, as far as I can tell, they're pretty much the same. They're just different models that have come out. But there are 10 monsters that I enjoy using more than any other, although I'm willing pretty much to use any of these monsters. I love the huge variety. You never know what I'm going to throw at you if you're the good guy. But these are 10 that I get especially good chuckle out of when I bring them to the table. Here we go. So we have two that almost made it, the Deep Elf and the Tyrannid, the Volkix Reaver. But let's get started into number 10. First we have the Ogre. Now the Ogre is a guy that I've always liked having. I always liked having the Ogre. In the original game, the Ogre was kind of cool because he had this Undying. He still has Undying. Basically, it means when the red guy gets killed, the white guy takes his place. They switch, and he has a double life in a sense. But in the old one, he could keep coming back. There was always a chance that he kept coming back. I like that better. But I still like him. He's still a good, tough guy, especially at the beginning of the campaign. Then we have the Troll. Now, the Troll, I like the Troll because it's just a straight-up nasty guy. He has reach, he can bash somebody, there's a good chance he'll hit someone for 3, and he can sweep and hit everyone near him. Or at least this guy can. And I like that. I like the fact that, again, and he rolls a red and blue die, just like the Ogre does, and of course I get their names mixed up all the time, what they do. He's just a fearsome-looking guy that I enjoy using. The Rat Swarm. Now this is kind of a nasty creature. In fact, the model itself, I mean, if you look at it, it's really kind of gross. All those rats on top of each other. And what I like about the Rat Swarms is that they can basically come together. They can merge into one. So if you have 2 wounded Rat Swarms, they can merge together into one. They can also cause bleeding and then feast on those people who are bleeding and do more damage to them. In fact, you can get extra health attack. The feast attack here is really powerful that they have because basically it equals their remaining health. So the more rats there are, the more damage they're going to do. So you got to knock these down. Heroes can't ignore them. Then we have the Golem. The Golem I like because he's big and mean and nasty and virtually indestructible. At least he feels that way. They actually buffed him up from the original Descent. In the original Descent he was strong but dealt out hardly any damage. Here he does more damage, but he's immune to pierce, he's immune to conditions, he can ignore being forced to move, so he just sits there and deals out the damage. Then we have the Fire Imps. Now the Fire Imps, and I really need to get these guys painted, actually I need to get it all painted, but these guys need to look like fire moving around. And the fact is when they get killed, they do 1 damage to everybody who's next to them. So you just run right up next to the person, and they have a chance to start the other person on fire. But I like them because they're not necessarily suicide guys, but they're people that you get them up close and they can do some damage. And, you know, they're fairly weak, and there's a lot of them. Then we have the Elemental. Now, here's one that I'm not even sure how I would paint this because it's like all the elements. You can use fire, earth, air, or water, and each one does a different thing. Fire, you can hit somebody and it attacks everyone next to you. Earth, you can hit one person and they're immobilized. Water, it hits everyone next to you and they're immobilized. Water hits everyone next to you and can make them suffer fatigue. Air, everyone next to this monster can't be affected, or he can't be affected by attacks. And the heroes can move through him. So he has these different abilities that he can use, and it's kind of cool. I wouldn't have minded maybe if they had made very specific elementals, but they have this fire guy. He's like the fire elemental. This guy's just very changeable, and that's something I like about him. But he also can do a lot of damage. The Hybrid Sentinel. This is kind of like Dragonkin. I love the way these guys look. You know, they're dragon soldiers with swords and such, and they have different damage that they can do. But I especially like the fact that they can fly. And I really enjoyed Prey on the Weak, where their attacks that target a hero with 2 or less strength get an extra damage. That's just fun. As the Overlord, it's fun to beat up on the weak guy. And they also have Fire Breath. And see, the thing is, they don't look like a dragon when they show up. So people aren't so scared of them. But that only is a battle or two. After that, they're going to run from these guys. Then we have Medusa. Now Medusa, the thing I like about Medusa is just, first of all, it's the scariest looking Medusa I know of. Medusa always looks like some, hey baby type person. Not this Medusa. This Medusa is incredibly scary, and I like the status effects. She can immobilize, poison, and stun. So there's a lot of different opportunities that they can do. So heroes aren't so afraid of them damage-wise, but you pair them up with a bigger creature that can do more damage, and these guys can be super scary. Then we have the Ironbound. Now, I actually like these guys better than the golems, although they have some very similar to them, except that the Ironbound, they can reach their iron skin, they're immune to pierce and everything, and they can protect other people near them. I think of them as just like these robots that are walking towards your opponent, and they just keep coming and coming. They can suck up a lot of damage, and they can deal out some too. And then my favorite monster in Descent 2 is the Chaos Beast. It's kind of a weird model, but I like the Chaos Beast because when it attacks, it uses the dice of any figure that's in its line of sight. So it can choose another hero, and you can choose one of their equipped weapons, and you get a whole lot of things. And they got sorcery, the red ones do, which allow them to change range to hearts or hearts to range. So they're very useful. They don't have any dice of their own, but against a very powerful hero, they can do a lot of damage. And I love bringing these guys out because people fear them, even when they're very strong. Now, I'm not saying these are the best monsters. These are my favorite monsters that I like using. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments. If you're an Overlord, what are your favorite monsters to use? If you are a player, what are the monsters you absolutely hate fighting against? They drive you crazy. Tell me in the comments. This is a great game. If you've never played Descent, check it out. Fun dungeon romp on a board. Anyhow, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!
Dear.